Hello, greeting to all. Welcome to my presentation. My work is titled Art and History, presented by Jason Alexander para Restrepo, presented to Juan Gregorio Gomez, teacher. Advanced English Course B2, Colton. My work is divided into parts. The first is a questionnaire and the second part is an descriptions of art and the history. Good. Number one. First part is an questionnaire. What is the art? The art is a set of expressions that they show the abilities of a person in a certain field of life or professions. Who is your favorite artist? My favorite artist is Leonardo da Vinci because he's an big artist. He worked in all field of art, science and general thought. He is a real model to follow. What is your favorite painting? My favorite painting is the Gioconda or Mona Lisa because it is enigmatic and beautiful. What is literature? The literature is the art of reading and also reading correctly, knowing how to interpret different texts. Who is your favorite author? My favorite author is Friedrich Nietzsche because he is a very interesting writer and with a very accurate vision of reality. He is also categorical in the text. What is your favorite book? My favorite book is The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco. It is a medieval narrative that tells the detective story of an abbé of the 13th century. What is a protest? A protest is a march where people claim one or more rights. What is a strike? The strike is a form of protest in which its participants or members refrain from carrying out the activity they normally carry out the detriment of those to whom they direct their claims or their complaints. What is a right? A right is a violent action or an aggression on the part of those who want to defend something. Good. In this moment, the description. Art can manifest itself in any expression, and I think we are all artists from what we do. My favorite art style is the classic naturalist, and the art style that I don't like is the surrealism because I like order and clarity in the representation. I also like Raphael's painting, for example, the School of Athens, and Michelangelo sculptures, for example, La Pietà or David. Since they are very perfect statues in their design and details. These representations of historical events, for example, the Venus de Milo or Aphrodite, is a sculpture that represents the culture of Greece. It's made of white marble, and this is the work of Alexandros of Antioch, who sculpted this masterpiece between the years 130 to 100 BC. It is currently in the Louvre Museum after being found by a peasant which was buried in Melos, Cyclades, in the 19th century. Other master opera. The Little Mermaid is a smaller sculpture. It's located on a rock in the harbor of Copenhagen, Denmark. And this masterpiece commemorates the story of Hans Christian Andersen. This estate has been vandalized several times, so it has been necessary to recollect it, um, relocate it for this success. In this moment, we move to the east to meet the ancient army of terracotta. In 1974, a group of farmers in China discovered an army of 800 clay soldiers buried more than 2,000 years ago by Emperor Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China, because he wanted to bury it with all his possessions, including his army. This great work of art today is considered a world heritage and is preserved as a sign of the greatness of this ancient empire, since it also stood out for the reunification of the country and other great constructions like the Chinese Wall. Hence, this are very impressive because it demonstrates the culture of a people that left its mark by the transcendence of their thinking. In the video of Picasso painting, the actuation of a painting, by Pablo Picasso for 100 euros is shown to favor on a whole city and to make a charity. For this purpose, permission was requested to the painter's family. The name of the masterpiece is The Man in the Opera Hat. The video shows and the interview the three people who are questions about their favorite book. The first person says that her favorite book was fiction and read it's a girl because her themes were fantasy monster, but she never saw the movie. The second interview said that I does not identify with a particular character, and the last interview said that his favorite character were the male characters. The protest is a very powerful way for people to show that they are not happy with something, and the protest began to take force from the second half of the 20th century, but in the United States with Luther King, the fight against racial segregations. Also in India, Gandhi led a movement for the independence of Great Britain. There are protests that have lasted months, but nowadays the protests are more spread by the media like Facebook, Twitter, and especially to the television. The most famous protests that I remember are the recent demonstrations of Venezuelans in their country because of the economic and political crisis. According to the video, the London police are fighting to keep the protesting students away. They demand their right. When the demonstrators approached the Parliament Square, lawmakers are going to vote today in a plan to triple university fees. Thousands of protesters hope that this last-minute effort will stop him. They tried to break the police lines by throwing bombs at the officers. In a parliament, they cite the riots are reasonably considered that the country in the recession to make a contribution to the cost of going to university. The vote of the tuitions is a crucial test for the British government in its attempt to reduce the deficits of the country. This is the finale of my presentation, art and history. How many thank you. Goodbye.